morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. To make sure that you can see and hear us, find the chat, let us know where you're joining from. We have an awesome topic planned for y'all today, and we're going to be diving in just a few minutes. But before then, we host these digital events monthly, anything from webinars, roundtables, workshops, and onboarding days to share insightful and actionable information with the SEO community. Help you make sure you get the most of your tools and hopefully give you some takeaways to help you increase traffic to your website or your clients. The presentation will be about 40 to 50 minutes. I just want to remind everyone, don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat and we'll address them at the Q&A section at the end of the presentation. A little bit about me is I'm a customer success manager here at SE Ranking. My name is Travis Mraz, and I really oversee our North America, Australia, and New Zealand markets. And then with me today, I have Pam, if you want to do a quick introduction of yourself.
Yes, hi there, Pam Moore, and I am the founder of Marketing Nuts and a new company I'm launching called Brand with Soul that we do training and consulting with a huge focus on technology and branding as well as personal branding. So I'm truly left and right brained, which you'll experience today, and I love the power of tech and the power of blending that with the human heart and the human soul.
Oh, perfect. And just before I turn it over to Pam here, a couple other things on our end. So SE Ranking is a comprehensive SEO platform for both agencies and in-house professionals. We specialize in being a complete SEO stack, focused on accurate data and a collaborative platform. So with that, I'll hand it over to Pam on her side of things. So.
All right, let's go. Let me turn on my screen. All right, so I am so happy you all are here today, and I'm truly honored to be here partnering with SE Ranking. I'm new to SE Ranking, but I'll tell you, they have just been fantastic to work with, and I am all about that energy and connection, and I'll tell you, they have it. They know their stuff, and I'm so excited to dig in and actually really start kicking the tires on their product. It is very comprehensive from what I have seen, and probably hopefully learn it with a lot of you. We can learn it together, but I'm excited. They seem to be on top of things that are happening in the market. And so they got me even more excited about search again. So this is a topic that I have been following for years. And today we are going to talk really about our brand. So it's the rise of brand in search. Okay. And it's really about in the age of AI, because everything has changed. So, tell me, if you raise your hand, if you know that there's a lot of different things that are happening in the world today when it comes to technology and AI. And I cannot see the chat anywhere. So you'll just have to say something if you need me to do anything, because I can't see it, just so you know. All right. I'm just going to keep going. And then if you need me for anything, you'll just have to holler at me. So let's get moving. And as we move into this, we are going to be talking about a ton of technical things. And I want to start this off with something about our heart and soul, because I've seen so many comments out there and conversations lately about on LinkedIn, particularly, where people are starting to say that these machines have feelings, and they're starting to make us one with technology. And for me, that is very concerning, because we are not technology, right? The last thing I've heard about technology, they do not, in any of these robots, my iPhone right here, it does not have any feelings, right? And it is not the same as a human. And so although we can program it, we can program technology to behave in a way that it feels like they have sentiment and that they care about us, and the language that it uses and the way that it talks to us and how fast it responds. We can program it to do all the things basically that we wish probably real humans in our life would do with us. And so it can be easy when we're talking to these machines to start to think that it's human. But there's so many people that are worried about losing their jobs and just change overall. And if you're one of those people, my heart goes out to you. And I hope that through this presentation today, you can feel empowered and not be afraid, because that is what I love to do more than anything, is empower people. And you are in control. The power of AI is in the partnership. So it's in the partnership of mind and machine. And we are not technology. We are not robots. And what we have as a value proposition to bring that's different than technology is our human souls. Okay. It is our heart. It is our feelings. It is our dreams. It's our desires. It's our vision. It's our purpose. It's our passion. It's all of those things. It's the energy that we bring, like the energy that the commitment, the fact that you showed up here today. So my foundation has always been in business, inspire, connect, achieve. And I truly believe that when we inspire our audiences to connect with us with a goal of helping them achieve their goals, we will achieve ours by default because they are one and the same. And I encourage you to never lose sight of that. So if your brand is not showing up in ChatGPT or Google AI overviews, for example, we'll talk about this today. You are not just behind, you're invisible right now because the world is changing. And that's what we're here today is to help you. So why does this matter? So I'm not going to have a whole deck of statistics, I promise, even though I love data. I'm a data junkie. 84% of consumers say that the experience that a brand provides matters as much as the product. That comes from Salesforce. AI overviews are reshaping 1 billion plus daily searches. Okay. So we have to pay attention to this. 57% of Gen Z people start their search on TikTok, not Google. And if you were in business today, and even if you don't have a business, if you don't work for a business, as a person, you can't afford to stay invisible unless you just want to go hide in a cave. And if you do, you probably are not here. So are you where you want to be? I want to ask you that question. If you can, go into the chat, and I want you to think about the answer to this question. Are you where you want to be right now? Right? And there's multifacets to this. Do you know what you need to know? Are you focused on the right vision? Are you focused on the right goals? Are you hanging out with the right people, right? Are you bringing the right energy every day to your business, to your family? So if the answer to those questions are yes, that's awesome. But even if a couple of those are maybe no, or I don't really know, I want you to use today to really think about where you want to be. And because you don't want to be jumping into AI, trying to make AI work for your business if you have no idea where you're going, and if you're just in a yucky place. You want to reset that mind as quickly as you can. Get around some people that can help lift you up and can help you get in a direction that you can be excited about. And because how we show up online is so very important for you to also achieve your goals. So, is what you are doing working? And this image here cracked me up in that I can remember back in college, who remembers the word, I forgot what they were called. There was wasn't a typewriter, it was like the next thing. And I remember when that came out because I used to do a lot of typing of papers for people because I could type really fast. And I remember when that technology came out, everybody was freaking out. And I was super excited about it because I was like, this is going to save me a lot of time because I had a little screen on it that was about that big. So how we look at technology when there's change is so important. And there's the people that either dive in, start learning it, can lead others, and can be successful. And then there's, people that are somewhere in the middle. And then there's people that are like, this is going to take my job. I hate it. Right? Trust me, you don't want to be that person right now when it comes to technology because technology is changing faster. It's evolving faster than it has ever. And I have some slides that I can go through on that. I can send them to you if you're interested in really what the rate of change for technology is. It is insane. So maybe it's time for you to have a new perspective. So you see this beautiful little robot here. And I did use a lot of robots in today's presentation. But maybe you just need a new perspective of how you look at things. And don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to go to like a 6-week class to figure this out. I mean, you can make that instant change in your mindset and say, you know what? I'm going to have an open mind toward this. And even if you're already supportive about this and you are excited about this, I want you to level up and to say, okay, what can I do now? I understand ChatGPT, maybe I know what AI is. How can you, after today, go to that next level and really utilize it to build your business or, even help other people in using it? So the only guarantee that we have is change. And even the things, probably some of the things that I talk about with you today are going to be different, maybe as early as tomorrow. And so we have to get used to that. We can't get frustrated by it. I was even doing some work last night and a couple of the AI tools, and they were freaking out. And it was a great reminder of why we also can't always depend on these tools. And so for those of you who have been around since, the early social media days, and I remember, I've rode the wave with technology. I helped launch the internet, I think, back when I was straight out of college. I worked at GE, and we were training mortgage and finance in the mortgage and financial industry. We were training people how to honestly use the internet. And so I have just seen so many waves of technology change, and I get excited about it. But what happens is that people will go into hiding, and then they come out and they look something like this, right? So they come out and they're like, okay, I actually do need to pay attention to social media, right? How many people are there right now? There's a lot of brands that are actually there right now, and particularly like small business, small, medium business, even up to some enterprise companies that we work with. They have some things that we need to help them get a grip on, and that's okay. So the first thing you need to do is just say, I do need to look at this a different way. Maybe you really never caught on to the .com. Maybe your website needs cleaned up. Maybe you need some basic foundations to even get your site ranking in Google anywhere, even on the second page. That's okay, right? The first stage of shifting that is awareness. So what you want to do is just be ready to embrace the journey, right? And so it's fun. That's why I purposely put a little kid on this photo, because you do not have to be an expert at this. Nobody is an expert at this. And if anyone tells you they're an absolute expert in AI, I think there's really only a few people in the world that are. Most of us are still learning. We're still at the very baseline of how this stuff works. And that's why today we're focused on brand, because your brand, starts with you. And leadership, when we talk about leadership starts with self. We can't lead other people until we can lead ourselves. And so if you haven't thought about your personal brand, your personal strategies for digital, you really need to start thinking about it, because it's such a big component for this. So what I want us to do is, every deck has to have, every presentation has to have a cat in it, and particularly a superhero cat. So if you feel like you're behind, I want you to just like right now stand up and say, I am going to catch up and I am going to lead. So let's catch up and let's lead, because these little robots are out there. And I think this is exactly how they looked to me when I first started. They want to do great things with us. They're like, come on, let's go. And so, I'm curious as to where each of you are. Are you, maybe this elephant, half giraffe that you're like, I don't know where I'm at. What am I doing here? Or are you maybe the guy on the top right where he's like, whoa, like this is so cool. This is blowing my mind. Are you, the person that says, I'm not a robot? You're feeling like you're getting blended into turning into a robot. Are you just, the bottom right where you're just like rolling with it? You're like, I got this. I'm excited for the changes. So I can't see the chat, but hopefully you can get in there and let us know what you're doing. So here's what the power that I talked about earlier of AI is really about mind and machine. And so us working together. And so I know that a lot of people that we work with really feel like this guy here on the left, where we have the robot saying, come on, let's go. And we're all kind of running with the robot, but we have to be honest with ourselves. We don't know exactly where we're going. I mean, none of us know exactly where the future is taking us, right? And going back to what I was talking about earlier with like, the AI tools freaking out last night, we can't depend on them. Just like the social networks. Remember when everybody depended on Facebook, and we were all spending, and some of the big brands were spending millions of dollars and building their communities on Facebook, right? And every social network that launches, we build our community there. And it wasn't long before then Facebook said, thank you for giving me those millions of dollars. Now I'm going to charge you to have those people start seeing your content, right? So we all thought, oh, we're doing great. This is going to be amazing. And overnight it changed on us, right? Then the ads changed. I mean, and I could go through this with every single platform. And so the one constant you have though is you. And the other constant you have are the people that you build in your community, right? The people that you bring, the people that your brand and your people within your culture touch and love on and connect with and serve. Those don't go away. No technology is going to take those away. And the beautiful thing about what's happening with AI right now, those are the things that matter, that are going to help you be successful. And because AI and these technologies and through all the APIs are all starting to fuse together, it has access to so much information about us, the information we've put out there, the information that is on different platforms, people talking about us, maybe good or bad things, but there is so much information out there that it is in our best interest for us to partner with this guy here, right? Because if you really think about it, he knows way more than we do. He has all this data at his fingertips. And so look at it in a way that we get to tap into that right now for either free or a very low cost. So at minimum with your brand, you should be doing research. Even if you are not comfortable using it quite yet, or creating content or really integrating it into your workflow, at least be using it for some research. So how many of you have ever heard about anybody getting fired for this type of a computer? You're looking at one. So years ago, when I started my career straight out of college, I went and I worked for a manufacturing company. And I was in a customer service role and doing marketing. And they had one of these types of computers. And when I got there, like the first couple of weeks, there was a woman who kept that we were sending out a direct mail to thousands of our customers. And it was a campaign. And they were typing the addresses into the typewriter every other week, over and over again. And we had this brand new, they actually had two of them because one was still in a box. They had this brand new computer that looked exactly like this sitting in one of our offices, and it was an open area. And I had recommended to them, hey, maybe we could consider utilizing this new technology because we could just enter the addresses and then we wouldn't have to type it in again. And they kept ignoring me. And so then finally, by about the fourth or fifth time that we did it, I wasn't rude, but I got a little bit, just more passionate about it. And I said, hey, like, I really think it's stupid if we don't just type it into this computer. I didn't say that. Well, let me tell you, within 10 minutes, I got walked into the CFO's office with my boss, and they said, we did not hire you to modify our workflow and processes. And so that was one of those moments that I had to be true to myself, even though I just bought this brand new SUV and, was newly married and all those things happening, or engaged. I think I wasn't married yet. But at that moment, I just knew, okay, I am going to ride this wave of technology. I'm not going to ever let myself be held back. So I really want to encourage you to do the same thing. From there, I went straight to GE. So life happens for us. And so even if right now you feel scared, you're worried, your team is worried, your husband, your wife, your partner, whatever, your team is freaking out, it's okay. Life is happening for all of us, and we're all going to come out of this okay. So some of the companies I've worked for, I'm not going to go through this very long, but I want you to know we've worked with companies in all industries, almost every industry, all different sizes of companies, from startups, solopreneurs, funded, not funded, all the way up to enterprise brands, and both in B2B and B2C. So the strategies that I teach you are, they work and they are proven in all industries, regardless of your size of budget as well. And then we walk the walk. So I rode the wave. I left corporate in 2009. I spent 15 years working corporate in big tech in the data center. I worked at a company that launched the first email marketing platform. So I've been around, and then I rode that wave, and I left corporate in 2009, 2010, launched my first agency, sold it within 2 years. And one of my first I bought an agency for $500 that had a few big clients in Tampa, and got the Service Master family of brands. Walked in there. They thought they were going to get an SEO audit and a new website. And I walked in there and said, no, we're going to do social media. And that was about 2009, late 2009. And we went and did a run on paid advertising versus social media. And we won. And we wound up working with the corporate organization, and that took us into franchise. So I always like to be challenged, and I encourage you to do the same. If you're running an agency or any type of technology business, stand behind what you do. and say, you know what, let's give this a go. My favorite words that I love to say to any client is give me 90 days. Give me 90 days and I'll show you what I can do. And I'll tell you 95% of the time, they end up wanting to do a longer contract. And so I just say, give me 90 days. And so if you're, doing any of these types of services, whatever you're doing in this space, I encourage you to do the same. One of these quotes from Tony Robbins I just love, because this all goes back to our identity. The strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. And our identity is so important when it comes to AI. And you may be thinking, why is she throwing these slides up there? Because it's really easy for us to lose our identity with these things. I mean, we could hop into ChatGPT and ChatGPT could help us turn into really anybody we want to be. And we could launch a website. We could do anything we want to do. And so I really want to encourage you to stay true to who you are. If you've lost yourself, I've been there. That happened to me post-COVID. And I had, going through one of those life changes and I just needed to find myself again. If you're there, do it, because do the work on yourself, because you can come back and you will be more excited about utilizing these technologies and be able to create something even brighter, better, that has more impact. So it all comes down to our identity. And our identity is what shapes our beliefs and our actions and is going to drive how we're going to engage with these things. It's going to drive your authority. It's going to drive your brand. And so you need to lead yourself first so you can lead your team in doing all of these things. And your customers, they want to be understood as humans, not sales targets. So they want you to understand that they have their own identity and that they want you to connect with them as humans. Everybody right now is struggling with the same thing. And if you don't believe me, hit me up in the DMs and I'll send you a couple of conversations that are happening on LinkedIn where you can see these conversations happening in real time. So people don't just buy things, they join things, right? And so people want to be part of community. And this is something we've always done, is help brands build community, help people build community. And this is even more important now. So it's what I call the OPX factor. So it's other people's content, community, ads, all of those things. When we work together, we can provide so much more value and have so much more impact. Just like me partnering with SE Ranking, I was so happy when they reached out to me. We can do a lot more together than we could as one. So attention plus action equals our social currency. So we need, obviously, to get attention, but we also need to make sure that we're driving the right actions with our audience. And that is how we are going to get a positive ROI. And one of the first questions that I always get when I work with a new client has to do with what's on the right side of this screen, which is, Pam, when am I going to see the money? It's like, show me the money, honey. And so this here is basically a sideways conversion funnel. Okay. So when we talk about authority, this is so relevant for what's happening with AI, because if you think about what's happening with search today, people are going to multiple sites for search. They're not just going to one, right? So we can hop in on our phone to multiple different AI apps. We can be on Google. We can be on TikTok. We can be on YouTube. Like, they're everywhere searching. And then we can go into like a ChatGPT or, Perplexity, and it's going to give us the top results. So within seconds, we can have what used to take us a long time, even on just a Google search. And so if we were to put the sales funnel up, it's gotten really wide. And so imagine this being a sideways sales funnel. Okay. So over on the left side, we have an opportunity to gain attention, and we have an opportunity to make friends and to earn trust. And if we show up not with our true identity as a person and as a brand, it's going to be really hard nowadays for us to really connect with people in an authentic way and be able to move them through that sales funnel. And we used to be able to do it where, a lot of brands could spend a lot of money on like the top of the sales funnel to get the leads and to get people in. And then they would also spend a lot of money in the middle part where they would have, all types of, and I still do this, so I'm not saying we don't do this, but where we can have, downloads and videos and, demos and webinars, those types of things for people to learn about. and then they would make a decision and become a buyer, right? So they start out as a member of our community. We have an opportunity to build that relationship and move them to a customer. But what's happening now with how technology is changing with AI and with search, many people are moving straight from that AI search result because they get so much information. They're seeing who's bubbling up to the top, and they're getting all of the supporting resources. So let's say they're going and they're looking for a speaker. Like I have received loads of leads for public speaking, for example, for consulting from AI. And it's part of it is because I have a lot of content out there. So when I started working with ChatGPT and any of these systems, it already knew me. Like it already knows my voice because my content is out there. So those of you that may have a lot of content out there, if you haven't played around with AI, you may be very surprised when you get on to find that the AI systems already know your brand voice and tone. And it actually reminded me of how I used to write when I was more passionate about it. And so that what it also does, AI gives people, 15 URLs that will talk more about whatever topic they're asking about. So by the time they've spent a few minutes or an hour on whatever platform they're searching, let's say it's ChatGPT, they may be ready to move from that top of funnel to a sale, to at least talk to a sales rep, or maybe even just a sale. So that middle of the funnel has the opportunity to get even shorter, okay, where it doesn't need to take so long in that middle part of the sales funnel, if you are building the right authority that you can show up on these systems on the front end. Because what happens, your community, your customers, your partners are all talking about you. And that's helping you move up on there. And we'll talk about how we do that and what that means here in a minute. So we want to focus on that. What are the outcomes of what the technology can do for us? And for people that you may have in your life or you may be getting emails. I mean, I get emails from even leaders in the industry that really all they are doing in the newsletters is complaining about how horrible AI is. And just please put some of those people on ignore. Yes, there are some scary things about it. We need to, and trust me, I am a risk management leader. I spent 7.5 years of my career at Sun Microsystems, which is now Oracle, working in proactive enterprise data center services. And so I am all about managing risk. So I am not saying don't manage risk. What I am saying is don't just sit all day and listen to the naysayers and be afraid, right? Because you're truly going to be left behind. Instead, flip that mindset and bring that energy to it, right? Get outside, go move, change that mindset, and be focused on what could you do with the technology. Think of that image I showed you earlier where we're running with the robot. We may not know exactly where we're going, but we know that robot has a lot more data than what we have. So you can even bounce ideas off of it if you don't know what your outcome is, right? I mean, anything you want to ask, you can talk through it with these systems. And before we go into some of the tactics here, it's still so important that we know who our audience is. And so there's a book called Groundswell, and I highly encourage you to check it out. It's a fast read. It's from Forrester Research, and this is a framework for building out any type of digital strategy. And it is POST. So it's people, who are we wanting to connect with, right? What are their objectives? What are the objectives we have for them? And then we look at strategy, which is based on the relationship. So what is the relationship we currently have with them? What's the relationship we want to have with them? That is going to determine what technology we use. So do not start with the technology, start with your audience. And that is so important when it comes to search and authority and building your brand in the world of technology that's evolving as fast as it is today. You have got to know who your audience is. You need to know where they're hanging out. You need to know what platforms are they searching TikTok. If your target customer is not searching TikTok, you do not need to focus there as a priority. I don't care if everybody's on it. If you know your audience is not there and they're spending more time on LinkedIn, then you need to be on LinkedIn, right? And if you're not on LinkedIn and your customers are on LinkedIn, you need to be on LinkedIn. And so things like LinkedIn, like I have a newsletter on LinkedIn, 53,000 subscribers on there, like overnight I got. Every time I post an article, LinkedIn sends out an email to those people. And I even get to see the open rates. I mean, all sorts of data. and it goes into the feed of every person that is subscribed to my newsletter. So there are things like that are happening on these platforms that you're only going to learn and know about when you start to go deeper. Okay. So that's why you need to know where your audience is hanging out. So then you can make sure you are flipping the right levers. This is not 2009, 2010 social media. It is so much more competitive. And I've taken a couple years off, not really off, but on building a new business that I'm launching called Brand with Soul. And I'll tell you, coming back, coming on full form right now and launching this new business, I have known for the last 2 years that it is completely different than it was. And so the competition is heavier, the noise is louder online. And so you have got to get very focused on who your audience is, or you're going to have a hard time getting any of these tools to do what you need them to do. So AI is not here to replace you. It truly is here to partner with you. So it is the most powerful brands in this era are going to be built by the humans who know how to guide the machines. The people who can sit down with these machines and be able to get them to do what they need them to do without being frustrated, and be able to keep digging and to keep digging until you can get that result that you want. The other day, I posted something on LinkedIn. I said, I think we should all be more like some of these AI image generators, because I swear some of them are pretty bad right now. But it cracks me up how they always come back and they're proud of their work. They're like, I did this image for you. Do you like it? Let me know if you want me to take it to the next level, or whatever they're asking, or let me know if I need to modify it. These robots are there to just go. And so you, me, us, we all bring the soul. Okay. That is what we offer as humans. AI is also bringing the scale. So this is how we are going to lead with purpose, with clarity, and with connection. We have to be clear on what our differentiators are. We do not need to go try to be an AI robot. We need to stand true on who we are as humans and what we have to offer other people. My core belief in prediction is I believe that AI is actually going to make a large segment of the market, I can't say all of it, but a large segment of the market of humanity more human. I believe, because I believe in humanity, I believe that through this, we are all going to get back to really what matters. I think a lot of the clutter is going to maybe be taken out of our lives, out of our mind. I don't know about you, but I went through some major burnout and recovering still, but I'm ready for some of that clutter to go away. And so the perspective of how we look at this, there are some things we can let go so we can focus on the right things. So as I mentioned earlier, search has changed. So it isn't linear. And, example here, someone may go to TikTok, then they go to YouTube, then they go to Reddit, then they go to ChatGPT, then they may go to a website, then they may send a DM, maybe on your Instagram channel, and then they may purchase. They may never talk to a sales rep. And here's the really important thing. You must meet your audience where they actually search. So if they're on TikTok, you better be on TikTok, right? And your sales team, if you have a sales team, maybe it's you, but maybe you have a team, they need to be aware of what that search journey is for your target customer. Because if your customer is going through a process like this, and this is what their journey looks like, your sales rep needs to be aware when they pick up the phone that they've already done so much research. And I've seen this happen with companies, that have been around maybe 20, 30, 40 years, and they are struggling with adopting technology. They want to talk on the phone, which is great. Okay. But a lot of your customers do not want to talk on the phone. And if you're going to talk on the phone, then you need to make sure you're meeting them where they're at. And I'm not sure if you saw, there was a deal that Google has with Reddit, for example, where it is popping the Reddit results into Google search, and they have a deal where then Google is also, they're helping promote the Reddit results. So if you notice that you may have seen more Reddit results in your Google search, there's a reason for that. And then Google is feeding its AI with all the community conversations that are happening on Reddit. So I'm not going to tell you what I think about that, but I don't know. So I struggle with that one because I know there's a lot of people who have hung out in Reddit and shared a lot of personal things, but we should know that nothing online is really safe. But it's just there's a lot of content that's getting pulled from Reddit that's going to go straight to these engines. So just something to be aware of. But now it's really easy for people to do a search and pull up those Reddit results, right? I get some of the best answers from health to technology to relationships sometimes on Reddit. If you haven't used it, you probably should check that out too. So AI overviews, what are they? So AI overviews are AI generated answers that show up at the top of Google results. And so here I just grabbed a screen capture. I searched, what is an AI overview? And this was the result that I got from Google. So it is the way that Google decides what shows up here is based on content that is trusted, that is structured properly, like your website is structured properly. If you have the metadata, let's say you have a WordPress website, you want to make sure you have the right plugins and that you have the right metadata and the keywords. You're using something like a Yoast or all-in-one SEO is the one that I've used for years. And you want to make sure that you don't just install it, that you actually are using it. And you can use AI to help you with those keywords, to help you, even if you're clueless and you have no idea what any of it means when you look at it, this is where you can use AI. And so all of these things that we do is what helps our content actually show up in these search results. So when somebody searches for something on Google, the AI overview is what shows up oftentimes very first. So when this happens, nobody may get any clicks unless they are in that first top box. Unless we're showing up on that AI overview, if someone's searching on Google, somebody may not even scroll down the rest of the page. And so I have gotten speaking leads, consulting leads from AI overviews. I've gotten them from ChatGPT. And this is where testimonials, third-party endorsements of you, any blog articles that are written that include you, these types of things are all going to show up. So the Flywheel. So this is a simplified version of my brand authority Flywheel. I haven't even officially launched this to market yet. This is something new, something I used to do similar only with our paid clients. And so this is part of a new service that we're taking to market and training and education. So in simple terms, we have brand clarity. That's where everything starts. We must be clear on who we are and what we're offering. And then we have a search aligned content strategy. And so we're making sure that we're aligning to our audience. And so that we are aligning with a goal and an outcome that we want to be able to show up in these tools, such as like the AI overviews and then results in an AI tool like ChatGPT or Perplexity. And then digital trust signals. Okay. And I'll show you what those are here in a minute. We're going to go through all of these. And what this does is this actually helps us build actual authority. So it helps us build visibility, trust, and scalability because it lets us continue to get that momentum, and it aligns the clarity, the credibility, and the discoverability. Okay, so when we do these things, when we are clear on who we are, because AI cannot pick up your content if it is a mess, if it looks like a plate of spaghetti. It needs to be able to very clearly understand who you are, what you offer, and how you're different from your competitors. Okay. And I've seen a lot of people and brands, particularly in the SMB space, that are using AI and their content has gotten a little messy. So because they can get so much quantity out of ChatGPT, they are now just kind of like dumping it on their website. And so you go to the page and you're like, what is it you actually do? This is a lot of words. Clarity does not mean it needs to be a ton of content. It actually needs to be less. It needs to be more clear. And maybe there's, a couple clicks people go through, but it needs to be super clear on who you are and what you are offering. And then we have what we call from Google, the EEAT. So this is experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. This is what Google looks at. And so this is Google's modern content quality framework. This is how they are deciding what content is showing up anywhere, what content is showing up in the AI overview. And so this is why you need to be thinking about these things when you're organizing your content, when you are building your brand today. So if you are in need, if you're sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, Pam, I need to do a refresh of my brand, it's a mess. Congratulations. Number one, you have awareness of that. Number two, this is a perfect time to do it, because even the people that did it like a year ago or 2 years ago, guess what? They're having to do it again now because everything has changed. Remember, I said the only guarantee we have is change. So traditional SEO is no longer enough. So why traditional SEO is failing today? Things like keyword stuffing, people that are blogging just to blog 3 times a week, backlink hacks, single format content, rank focused instead of relevance focused content. And then what's breaking AI answers, what's breaking SEO is AI answers it before people click on a link. Content overload. People are, I mean, I know you can probably relate to this. We do not have a lack of information. We have a lack of wisdom. We have a lack of relevant wisdom that's action oriented, that we can actually take and build momentum on. We lack that because there's so much noise. And when we find that, that's why we get so excited. And that's why earlier when I talked about the sales funnel, that people are moving from the top down to the bottom really fast, it's usually when they are clear in understanding what you do, how you do it, and that you're going to be able to get them to that outcome that they need. They're like, boom, let's go. Right? That's the person I want to work with. That's the brand I want to work with, because people trust clarity, not clutter. You can put all the fancy words you want on your website, and if it doesn't mean anything to me, and if I'm your target customer, it's all for nothing. So SEO isn't dead, but the old playbook is dead, right? The way we used to do it. So the new rules of being found. So we talked about TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, ChatGPT are now all search engines. And AI is ranking clarity and authority. Okay. So content must be helpful, it must be human, and it needs to be distributed, which means it needs to be multiple places. So it can't just be sitting only on your blog. You need to have content across the web where other people are talking about you. If you have a brand name, you need to make sure that if you have not done the proper protection of your IP and your brand name, and if I am searching on Google and there's 2 more companies that pop up that have the same name as yours, you better figure that out. You better protect your trademark if you filed it, get an attorney to help you, or even consider doing a name change, because it is going to be really hard for you to build authority with this type of thing. Reach out to me if you need help, because I love these types of problems to solve. So AI didn't kill SEO, confusion did, right? And so your story matters as much as your strategy does. And SEO is not dead. It's far from dead. It's just went to a whole next level, right? And I have another prediction that I know this. Platforms like SE ranking are going to become like bread and butter. Like it's going to become like what Microsoft or whatever platform you use to do your Word documents, or Google, whatever you're doing to do presentations, or however you're making it in an AI tool now, email platform. I truly believe it's going to become like that, because we are going to have access to the data in order to make sure we're building authority in the way that we need to do it. We cannot, and I never have done this, just take content, throw it at the wall, and hope it sticks. That used to work sometimes for some people. They'd throw some ad dollars at it on Facebook, and they'd be able to make some money. I think those days are going to be very limited. So brand, how can we do a quick brand audit? So you can go into ChatGPT and just ask a question like, who are the top experts or brands helping whoever your target audience is with a particular problem? And it's going to tell you. Okay. So you can try this in like ChatGPT, in Google, Perplexity, and then just look at the results. Are you showing up? Are your competitors showing up? Why are they showing up? What's showing up? Who are the communities that they're partnering with? And maybe you need to be doing the same thing. You can learn so much about your industry and about who's doing what in your industry. And maybe even look at some of the, supporting industries around you, other industries that are, parallel or that intersect with the markets that you're targeting, and see what they're doing as well and what you can learn from them. And you can probably find some people, not probably, you absolutely can find some people in your industry that you could reach out to partner with. So our brand authority wheel, so we have clarity, we have the digital trust signals, and then we have the search aligned content strategy. So this is, remember, this is building our discovery. It builds our authority, which builds the discoverability, which builds conversions and builds trust. So it's all about getting people to your own community. That email list is so powerful. You cannot just rely on social media. You need to make sure that you are driving them to an action where you can then nurture that relationship with them, because who knows when you'll see them again if you don't do that, right? Unless, particularly if you're not showing up on the AI overviews yet, you better be focused on your own platform and getting some conversion so you can start building that email list if you haven't been there. And then the brand authority flywheel, when we talk about brand clarity, I'm going to walk through each of these for you. So what we're talking about with brand clarity is a clear point of view and knowing who your niche is, or niche, however you say that, the audience that you're targeting. And then what is the promise? What's your value proposition? What is the promise that you are making to your audience? And then making sure that you have a unified message across all of the channels. And so it should smell, feel, look, taste the same, right? There may be little differences to it, but I should have, I've always had a goal and an outcome. And I hear this all the time from our target clients is they'll say, Pam, I got lost on all your platforms. You know, I went from YouTube to Twitter to LinkedIn to your blog to your podcast. And I before I knew it, I had consumed like a day of your content, you know, and it was not planned, because it is that consistent user experience. So you want to make sure that you're really focused on the unified message, and that's going to help AI learn about you too and see your authority. And then metadata, we want to make sure that we have our metadata for our blog or our website, both of those, our homepage, it's on our bios, make sure that it matches our mission, utilize every profile that you have. And this is where your personal brand comes in as well. Go through and do an audit of all of your social media profiles. And I'm actually doing this right now. I have a little bit of cleanup I'm even doing on Facebook. I do this every few months. And because there's always changes that happen. And we always want to do it from a privacy perspective and risk management as well. But there's always changes that are happening on these platforms. And so there may be a new field that pops up that you didn't have access to before that now you can promote your brand. And when it comes to platforms like LinkedIn, I know a lot of times that can intimidate people. I encourage you to get someone to help you. We'll have some services soon that are going to be helping with that with personal branding. But one thing we're going to be doing is teaching people how to use AI to do that. And so you can also get an AI once you teach, you know, like a ChatGPT, what your brand is and what your brand voice is. It can really help you in cleaning up and building clarity on all of your platforms. And so that could maybe be a first goal if you're wanting to dig into this and get some movement. And then digital trust signals. So by that, we're talking about testimonials, we're talking about reviews, about media, just mentions, podcast appearances, and then the EEAT from Google. So our author pages, making sure that those are consistent and that everything we're doing is consistent, and that we have the proper credentials. And so that we are just setting everything up with Google that we can. Platforms with SE ranking will help you see some of those trust signals and data points as well. And so this really takes a little bit of an audit for you to do when it comes to the SEO. So that's why SEO is not dead. It's not going away. It is more important than ever. It's just, it has a different energy and approach, a way that we approach it than what we did 5 years ago, even a year ago. So, and then your visual brand identity and the user experience. Okay, that is going to be a trust booster. And we all know that, you may not know, but that Google looks at user experience. It knows how long somebody's on your site. It knows if they bounce away. It knows whether your site is formatted for mobile or not. And it's going to score you on all those lovely things. And that's going to determine whether you show up in an AI overview, right? And I want you to get there. So I want you to make sure you're doing this. Don't get yourself overwhelmed. You do not have to do all these things overnight. Get somebody that can maybe help you and help you prioritize them. That's why I started with identity at the start. That is a great place for you to start. Is who are you? What do you offer? And what's your target audience? And then our search align content strategy. So this is, just think of this in that you are mapping content to the questions that your audience has, not just keywords. Okay. So this is where I don't want you to get, even though we have the word search in here, I don't want you to get too hung up on SEO, because we need, remember, to be human. So map the content to the questions that your target customer wants to know and wants to have answered. And we want to use different formats. So video, blog, carousel, audio. And this is where storytelling really meets up with structured SEO. And this is an area where I think the AI platforms really excel. ChatGPT, if it's working on anything, it'll be like, hey, do you want me to do a carousel for you for that? So they're more than willing to help you do those things. Just make sure you're prioritizing it right. So this slide here just summarizes all those things for you. I have a few more of the digital trust signals listed here. So we have backlinks from reputable sources. We talked about case studies and results. So if you have great case studies, make sure you publish those. Maybe do an update to them. Maybe, do a campaign where you get some of your clients to maybe do some reviews for you on Facebook or on, Google, wherever that may be. Maybe even do a video that you can publish to multi-platforms, and a user-generated content type of campaign. If you need some help, reach out. We love doing those. And then certifications and endorsements, just, getting those quotes, put them on your front page of somebody that endorses you or your product. And let's see, engaged audience and social proof. So the AI engines are looking at social proof, and they're looking at engagement. And this is an area where it gets really interesting to me, which is the X platform. And I've been on X since 2009. And if you would have asked me, a few years ago, like what would be the hardest platform for me to let go of, it would have been X, would have been Twitter at the time, and LinkedIn. And because I've been on LinkedIn since it was in beta, and Twitter is what truly built my brand. We used to have a Twitter chat we ran for 5 years every Tuesday night. And, that's how I landed clients like IBM and a lot of the enterprise brands was by building community. It's how I launched my podcast. There were 100 different Twitter chats that were monetized, that were spun off of the one that we used to do for 5 years, which was called Get Real Chat. So Twitter is not going away, or X is not going away anytime soon. And it is one of the best platforms for distribution of your content. And you can connect with a lot of your target market, a lot of executives for companies, everything in between. And guess what? You don't have to ask them to be your friend. You can just talk to them. And if they're using X, they're going to see the conversation and probably reply to you. And if you are interesting, so that's why you got to make sure you set your platform up correctly and don't just go out there and spam people. But it is very much an overlooked platform right now for many brands. And I still get a ton of traffic and a ton of leads that comes from X, and it's ranked in Google. So the X posts show up in Google results, and as does LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn newsletter, one I did a couple weeks ago, I was really surprised. It was the one on AI and branding. It showed up within like 2 hours on the front page of Google for the terms. It was like AI branding. And it said like what people are talking about. And that was my LinkedIn letter. So do not overlook these platforms and what they can do for your authority. And Grok is the AI platform inside of X. And it is really interesting because it is seeing the real-time data, right? I believe it's the most powerful one right now that actually has a social network attached to it. I know that there's Meta, but Grok, what I am seeing it do is blowing me away. And I'm now seeing the things that I'm posting there purposely. My content is now showing up in the results. So it's watches you, it's seeing what you're posting, and it's immediately putting, when you have authority, and if people are engaging and it's tying back to other content, there is some magic. And I don't usually say these things that's happening there for people that can learn how to work that. So, and then a prompt strategy would be, don't ask. Bad would be write me a blog on branding, right? We don't want to do that. Write a blog for founders who want to clarify their brand identity in the age of AI. make it conversational and rooted in trust. That is way oversimplified. I would never honestly even ask it that good way. I would have far more in there that I would outline with it first. And, there's a whole art and science to doing prompting, but this is a way to start if you want to just kind of get your feet, put your toe in the water. And then just make sure that you're training AI on your brand voice. And if you don't know how to do that, just get somebody to help you. We can help you. It's not as hard as what it sounds. It may take you back to the crayons and the markers with your brand, which is okay. We talked about that. You may need to add some clarity to your brand, but it's better to do it now than to keep jumping junk and clutter into the AI and your blog and your website and do all this cleanup when you don't have clarity on your brand. You got it. Your most powerful asset that you have right now is your identity, your heart, your soul, and your brand. Brand with soul. So prompt research. So like I said, research is where it's at when it comes to AI right now, particularly if you're new and you don't know where to start. Just start asking it questions. I mean, anything you want to ask. And then just ask, look at who's showing up. Why are they showing up? What content signals are showing that visibility and why? Like, why are they showing up? And then if there's people, in your industry and you're seeing that they're successful or other industries, take that blueprint and utilize it. And then ask ChatGPT, okay, or Perplexity. I see that this company is doing this. Is this a good strategy? Is this something that I should do? What impact do you think this would have if I did this? And would this be something good for me to do? And so even if you're going to go to a third party, an agency, a consultant, somebody to help you with some of these things, you can educate yourself before you go there. So you're going into that conversation a little bit more educated, so you can make sure you're making a very educated and smart decision. And then AI is going to reflect what you teach it. So you are already training the AI, whether you are purposely doing that or not. So if your voice is scattered, if your website is cluttered, or if it's clear, if there's clarity, whatever you're doing right now, you're already teaching it. So it's like, I think someday the pickup line may be people that I've been married for like 27 years, but, I think it may be, let me see your prompts. So, there's some interesting conversations that are happening around AI. I don't know if you saw Sam from OpenAI, Sam Altman, but he had a conversation on X talking about that it's costing them a lot of money with people being so polite and saying please and thank you to ChatGPT and the AIs and the AI platforms. And so because it's more churn, it's taking more server power and all those things. And so, but I love the fact that everybody's doing that. Right? How we AI, is that who we are? Right? Is it making us more human? I just think there's so many interesting conversations we can have with that. So just make sure you teach it to reflect your purpose, your clarity, and your soul. And then your 3 visibility signals are brand clarity. I'm saying these a few times so you can leave here and remember this. It's brand clarity, your digital trust, and your search aligned content. So align these and you will become searchable, scalable, and unforgettable. You can be like this power robot woman standing here. So you don't just need to be found. You need to be felt. People need to feel your brand, even in the search results. And the age of AI, brands with clarity and soul will win. I believe that to my bones. And that's why I am launching my company is called Brand with Soul. And so we are focused on brands that have purpose, brands that are living their value proposition and truly want to make an impact. And I truly believe and know that these are going to be the brands that will make it and will rock. And man, ladies, we're going to do a lot of amazing things together. So what do you need to do next? I want you to audit your brand clarity, align your trust signals. Okay. So take a look at those and align those with your brand messaging and your content, and then rewire your content for the modern search. And then I have a brand vibe kit that is loaded with some worksheets and some checklists and different things for you. I even have a little worksheet in there that's going to tell you how you can make your own little toy figure of your brand. And all you need to do to get that is you can go to brandwithsoul.com and just sign up there, and then I will send it to you. You can also go on my LinkedIn, because I want you to check out LinkedIn. My latest post and that I just published that was announcing this webinar. If you comment on their brand authority, then I will reach out to you and I will get you this vibe kit by the close of business today, or by later tonight. We'll say by midnight tonight, but I will be sending these all to you, and you will get a nice kit. And then I will also have an offer that I'm doing and I will send that in an email, where I have a special offer together where I'm doing a visibility review, and then 2 different consulting hours, and then a training with your team, a custom 1-hour training that I can do with your team, that we can cover this or whatever topic you want to do. And we can do it virtual, or if you want to bring me out to your site, I can do that too. But I can share more of that with you as well. And so I want to thank you for your time. And then I'm going to hand it over to the SE ranking team and let them, they have a special offer for you too, with an extended trial. So I highly encourage you to check out that platform. I'll be right there with you, and we'll be learning it right along with you. Thank you again for being here and showing up. And please reach out to me on any of the social platforms. And I'd love to see what you're doing, and let me know how I can help you.
Thank you, Pam. Super insightful there. It looks like we're just a little over time, but if you have 5 minutes, looks like we just have a couple questions in the chat here. So first one's from David. As a B2B SaaS company, we've been focusing on technical SEO over the past year. My question is, how can we integrate an authority-first approach without sacrificing our existing SEO efforts?
Yeah, so I actually think that's really good news that you've been focused there, David. And I would build on that. So I would, take a look at, maybe do an assessment, use a tool like SE ranking, or you may already have some tools. Look and see where you're strong, and then do an audit of how you are doing today when it comes to the AI platforms, and just Google over all, and then see what you can build on, and maybe see if there's any. I always like to call it like cracks of opportunity, where it's like, if I put a little bit of effort here, it's just going to help me exponentially like jump to the next level. So try to look at that. I guess we could call it low-hanging fruit. So the low-hanging fruit of where you can take it to the next level, but I would build on it. And I don't think you need to sacrifice it unless you have a bunch of bad, backlinks that are naughty. That's the only thing you might want to clean up. I know that is another thing I didn't mention, is to make sure, if your site has ever been hacked or any of those things have ever happened, that people do clean that up. That actually happened to me over COVID. I think I forgot what plugin it was. I think it was like Gravity Forms or one of those that got hacked, and it was a nightmare getting those all cleaned up. But you have to, because otherwise it takes you down in the rankings. So I think the audit is what I would do, David. And then I would focus on maybe partnering, because if you have good SEO authority, that could be really appealing to other brands that don't have the SEO as well. And so when you have authority, you could do some partnering with some other brands, and maybe a brand that has a good brand name and visibility but doesn't have the SEO, or you could partner up together and then double that. But I would just build on that momentum. Congrats.
Perfect. And then from Kieran, I'm intrigued by the Gen Z and TikTok stat. I believe this was at the beginning of your presentation. Is there a bias to the types of search, or is it across the board? For example, as they're searching for things like, how much does a whale cost?
Yeah. So, there's definitely content, but like some of the recent stats I've seen for TikTok is just like, it's a number one where they're going. But there is bias, and I can say, I know it never makes sense to like say your kids, right? But like, so I have a 21 and a 25-year-old, but I'll tell you, my 21-year-old is not going to TikTok, right? He's going to Instagram, or he's going to Google. But my 25-year-old is 100% going to TikTok first, and then Instagram. And so, we also have to look at the user-generated content. So like, I recently presented to, it was the Hand Tools Institute. And so it was all of the big like hand tool companies. So like Klein and, like drills and all those things. And my son is an electrician, my 25-year-old. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. And what was interesting is a lot of these people who they're targeting, which are these young, Gen Zers that are living on TikTok and Instagram. My son, for example, is posting on Instagram pictures of his cat in hard hat all the time. like all these funny memes, but like these brands don't know that. Right. And so it was like, I gave them all these ideas for campaigns that they could do, like show us your pet, right? The user generated content. So I love where you're going with this question, Karen, because looking at the bias, like that is a perfect question to ask. And I want everybody to learn from what she asked. So she saw a piece of data, or I don't know if it's a he, this person saw a piece of data and then did what I call the double click. What does that actually mean for my audience? Never take a statistic of just a blanket statistic. Okay, I'm only going to go do TikTok, right? What does it mean for my audience?
Awesome. And then Mia here, as a nonprofit, I constantly face budget constraints. What are your thoughts on cost-effective strategies that can help with brand authority and SEO?
Oh, I love that you asked that, Mia. And I have such a heart for nonprofit. My youngest son is a pastor at a local church. He's still in college, but he's an intern with that. So I know exactly how that is. And so I've helped a lot of nonprofits. So I think for you, it's the number one is the things we talked about. So start with identity, brand clarity. So it's so simple. And that you just literally have that in a box. Your company knows it. Your culture knows it. It's what we call brand culture. And that's another thing we're going to be doing with our new company is connecting the dots with the people inside the company to external, right? And with that messaging, making sure they understand it and can communicate it. Then what you can do, I would recommend partnering with some other people. So it's that OPC X factor. And so find some other, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's, some influencers, big or, micro, that believe in what you're doing and get partnered with them, because it's all about leveraging those resources and then creating see if you can get people to help you create content. Do things like the co-op type of blog post where you do a blog post and you link to people maybe in your community. And because you would be surprised how many people will contribute like a quote or a trend or a forecast or a prediction or do something funny. I don't know what your nonprofit is, but like, it could be something about AI, like do something that's trending with your target market and do a funny video. I mean, just think outside of the box to where you can engage your audience and like go to a Chamber of Commerce event and take your phone and record people and just start engaging community. I would say build community, build partnerships, and you can get a lot of momentum that way and without a lot of money. And then you're able to tap into everybody's budget, maybe do a giveaway. I've done a lot of this stuff. Giveaways work great at events as well. So you can do a virtual or an in-person event and get some people to donate some things. I'm sure you probably do some of that, but kind of take it to that next level. Hope that helps.
Perfect. Yeah, and then final question from Noah is, our brand has a strong presence on social media, but struggles with organic SEO results. How can we leverage our social credibility to enhance our search engine authority? Any tips?
Oh, that's such a good question. And so many people struggle with that. And so I would, number one, make sure that you truly understand what's happening with your SEO. And so that's where a platform like SC Ranking, I'm not just trying to sell you, I promise. Like understand what's going on, because it could be something that, it could be one or two things that are like holding you back. And it could be a couple things you have opportunity for that maybe you have a keyword that hasn't quite hit the jackpot yet, which it could. So it's like identifying those low-hanging fruit for opportunity, and then the things that you can tweak with the levers really quick. And then it's got to be the clarity, and then understanding who your audience is and what they're searching for, and try to find some content that is unique that other people are not doing. Right. And so that's something that I have always done with my organic results, is I try to do content that not everybody's writing the same thing. So to like take a different edge to it, or take a different, like, Neil Patel preaches this a lot, of like longer content, not falling to what everybody else is doing. Right. So like I always get people say, Pam, why don't you talk about more brand authority and thought leadership? Back in the day when I used to do like the top 10 this, top 10 that, because they work. Right. So there's a reason I will do like the top 5 and the top 10, because the same CEO of an enterprise company is learning these platforms just like a intern marketing manager that may be influencing a decision. Right. So it's like truly know your audience better than anybody else does. And then figure out who are those people that are coming to your site what's working and how can you make it work more? And then who isn't coming to your site, what content do you need to get them? And then do the same things that I was telling Mia with partnerships, because that can really turn up the dial too. If you start partnering and, do a collab, I don't know what you do something with somebody like me, do some type of collab where we do something together and just, we get a few people together. I truly believe there's power in we over me when it comes to getting those organic results. Like I wouldn't have had the organic results I did if it wasn't for community. So it's build that community, and it will help a lot.
Cool. Thank you so much, Pam. And just before everyone drops off, some final information from SC Ranking. Please, if you're not already a customer, check out a trial and engage with us. We're always looking for feedback, whether you join our partnership or not. Don't forget to use your business emails. There is some unlocks there versus a Gmail, just in how those things connect. So nothing wrong with the Gmail if you're getting started, but there's some more value to be unlocked with the business email. If you're just looking to learn, we do have a free academy out there for you to take advantage of, whether it's just starting to learn SEO or trying to get deeper into a specific area or grow knowledge. And then once again, feel free again, start with SE Ranking, a little expansion on the academy side, but focus on the tool itself. And don't forget to follow us on all channels or via our podcast. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.